Hey guys, welcome to day 161 of the Bilinear Plan. Today we will be reading 2 Kings 15 through 16 and Matthew 21. If you need to read more about this plan, visit the High Quality Gospel website with the link in the description of the episode and the podcast. Please leave a like and follow the podcast to stay up to date with new episodes. Now, let's begin with reading 2 Kings 15. In the 27th year of Israel's king Jeroboam, Azariah son of Amaziah became king of Judah. He was 16 years old, and when he became king, and he reigned 52 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jechaliah. She was from Jerusalem. Azariah did what was right in the Lord's sight, just as his father Amaziah had done. Yet the high places were not taken away. The people continued sacrificing and burning incense on the high places. The Lord afflicted the king, and he had a serious skin disease until the day of his death. He lived in quarantine, while Jotham, the king's son, was over the household, governing the people of the land. The rest of the events of Azariah's reign, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Judah's kings. Azariah rested with his ancestors and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. His son Jotham became king in his place. In the 38th year of Judah's king Azariah, Zechariah son of Jeroboam reigned over Israel in Samaria for 6 months. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight, as his predecessors had done. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit. Shallum son of Jabesh conspired against Zechariah. He struck him down publicly, killed him, and became king in his place. As for the rest of the events of Zechariah's reign, they are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. The word of the Lord that he spoke to Jehu was, 4 generations of your sons will sit on the throne of Israel, and it was so. In the 39th year of Judah's king Uzziah, Shallum son of Jabesh became king. He reigned in Samaria a full month. Then Menahem son of Gadi came up from Tirzah to Samaria and struck down Shallum son of Jabesh there. He killed him and became king in his place. As for the rest of the events of Shallum's reign, along with the conspiracy that he formed, they are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. At that time, starting from Tirzah, Menahem attacked Tifsah, who were in its territory because they wouldn't surrender. He ripped open all the pregnant women. In the 39th year of Judah's king Azariah, Menahem son of Gadi became king over Israel, and he reigned 10 years in Samaria. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight. Throughout his reign, he did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit. King Pul of Assyria invaded the land, so Menahem gave Pul 75,000 pounds of silver so that Pul would support him to strengthen his grasp on the kingdom. Then Menahem exacted 20 ounces of silver from each of the prominent men of Israel to give to the king of Assyria. So the king of Assyria withdrew and did not stay there in the land. The rest of the events of Menahem's reign, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. Menahem rested with his ancestors, and his son Pekahiah became king in his place. In the 50th year of Judah's king Azariah, Pekahiah son of Menahem became king over Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 2 years. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight and did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit. Then his officer Pekah son of Remaliah conspired against him and struck him down in Samaria at the citadel of the king's palace. With Argob and Ariah, there were 50 Gileadite men with Pekah. He killed Pekahiah and became king in his place. As for the rest of the events of Pekahiah's reign, along with all his accomplishments, they are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. In the 52nd year of Judah's king Azariah, Pekah son of Remaliah became king over Israel in Samaria, and he reigned 20 years. He did what was evil in the Lord's sight. He did not turn away from the sins of Jeroboam son of Nebat had caused Israel to commit. In the days of King Pekah of Israel, King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria came and captured Ijon, Abel-Beth-Maachah, Janoah, Kadesh, Hazor, Gilead, and Galilee, all the land of Naphtali, and deported the people to Assyria. Then Hoshea son of Elah organized a conspiracy against Pekah son of Remaliah. He attacked him, killed him, and became king in his place in the 20th year of Jotham son of Uzziah. As for the rest of the events of Pekah's reign, along with all his accomplishments, They are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. In the second year of Israel's king Pekah, son of Remaliah, Jotham, son of Uzziah, became king of Judah. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Jerusha, daughter of Zadok. He did what was right in the Lord's sight, just as his father Uzziah had done. Yet the high places were not taken away. The people continued sacrificing and burning incense on the high places. Jotham built the upper gate of the Lord's temple. The rest of the events of Jotham's reign, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Judah's kings. In those days the Lord began sending Aram's king Rezin and Pekah son of Remaliah against Judah. Jotham rested with his ancestors and was buried with his fathers in the city of his ancestor David. His son Ahaz became king in his place. In the 17th year of Pekah son of Remaliah, Ahaz son of Jotham became king of Judah. Ahaz was 20 years old when he became king, and he reigned 16 years in Jerusalem. He did not do what was right in the sight of the Lord his God, like his ancestor David, but walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. He even sacrificed his son in the fire, imitating the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had dispossessed before the Israelites. He sacrificed and burned incense on the high places, on the hills, and under every green tree. Then Aram's king Rezin and Israel's king Pekah son of Remaliah came to wage war against Jerusalem. They besieged Ahaz, but were not able to conquer him. At that time Aram's king Rezin recovered Elath for Aram and expelled the Judites from Elath. Then the Arameans came to Elath, and they still live there today. So Ahaz sent messengers to King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria, saying, I am your servant and your son. March up and save me from the grasp of the king of Aram and the king of Israel, who are rising up against me. Ahaz also took the silver and gold found in the Lord's temple and the treasuries of the king's palace and sent them to the king of Assyria as a bribe. So the king of Assyria listened to him and marched up to Damascus and captured it. He deported its people to Kir, but put Rezin to death. King Ahaz went to Damascus to meet King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria. When he saw that the altar was in Damascus, King Ahaz sent a model of the altar and complete plans for its construction to the priest Uriah. Uriah built the altar according to all the instructions King Ahaz sent from Damascus. Therefore, by the time King Ahaz came back from Damascus, the priest Uriah had completed it. When the king came back from Damascus, he saw the altar. Then he approached the altar and ascended it. He offered his burnt offering and his grain offering, poured out his drink offering, and splattered the blood of his fellowship offerings on the altar. He took the bronze altar that was before the Lord in front of the temple, between his altar and the Lord's temple, and put it on the north side of his altar. Then King Ahaz commanded the priest Uriah, offer on the great altar the morning burnt offering, the evening grain offering, and the king's burnt offering, and his grain offering. Also offer the burnt offering of all the people of the land, their grain offering, and their drink offerings. Splatter on the altar all the blood of the burnt offering, and all the blood of the sacrifice. The bronze altar will be for me to seek guidance. The priest Uriah did everything King Ahaz commanded. Then King Ahaz cut off the frames of the water carts, and removed the bronze basin from each of them. He took the basin from the bronze oxen that were under it, and put it on a stone pavement. To satisfy the king of Assyria, he removed from the Lord's temple the Sabbath canopy they had built in the palace, and he closed the outer entrance for the king. The rest of the events of Ahaz's reign, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Judah's kings. Ahaz rested with his ancestors and was buried with his fathers in the city of David, and his son Hezekiah became king in his place. Now we read Matthew 21. When they approached Jerusalem and came to Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, Jesus then sent 2 disciples, telling them, Go into the village ahead of you. At once you will find a donkey tied there with her colt. Untie them and bring them to me. If anyone says anything to you, say that the Lord needs them, and he will send them at once. This took place so that what was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled. Tell daughter Zion, see your king is coming to you, gentle and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, the foal of a donkey. The disciples went and did just as Jesus directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt, then they laid their clothes on them, and he sat on them. A very large crowd spread their clothes on the road. Others were cutting branches from the trees and spreading them on the ground. Then the crowds who went ahead of him and those who followed shouted, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest heaven. When he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was in an uproar, saying, Who is this? The crowds were saying, This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth in Galilee. Jesus went into the temple, and throughout all those buying and selling, he overturned the tables of the money changers and the chairs of those selling doves. He said to them, "It is written, 'My house will be called a house of prayer,' but you are making it a den of thieves." The blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. When the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonders that he did, and the children shouting in the temple, "Hosanna to the Son of David," they were indignant, and said to him, "Do you hear what these children are saying?" Jesus replied, "Yes. Have you never read? You have prepared praise from the mouths of infants and nursing babies?" Then he left them, went out of the city to Bethany, and spent the night there. Early in the morning, as he was returning to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a lone fig tree by the road, he went up to it and found nothing on it except leaves. And he said to it, "May no fruit ever come from you again." At once the fig tree withered. When the disciples saw it, they were amazed and said, "How did the fig tree wither so quickly?" Jesus answered them, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, you will not only do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you tell this mountain, 'Be lifted up and thrown into the sea,' it will be done. And if you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer." When he entered the temple, the chief priests and the elders of the temple came to him, and he was teaching, and said, "By what authority are you doing these things? Who gave you this authority?" Jesus answered them, "I will also ask you one question, and if you answer it for me, then I will tell you by what authority I do these things. Did John's baptism come from heaven, or was it of human origin?" They discussed it amongst themselves. "If we say from heaven," he will say to us, "then why didn't you believe him? But if we say of human origin, we're afraid of the crowd, because everyone considers John to be a prophet." So they answered Jesus, "We don't know." And he said to them, "Neither will I tell you by what authority I do these things. What do you think? A man has 2 sons. He went to the first and said, 'My son, go to work in the vineyard today.' He answered, 'I don't want to.' But later he changed his mind and went. Then the man went to the other and said the same thing. 'I will, sir,' he answered, but he didn't go. Which of the 2 did his father's will?" They said, "The first." Jesus said to them, "Truly I tell you, tax collectors and prostitutes are entering the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you didn't believe him. Tax collectors and prostitutes did believe in him, but you, when you saw it, didn't even change your minds then and believe him." Listen to another parable. There was a landowner who planted a vineyard, put a fence around it, dug a winepress in it, and built a watchtower. He leased it to tenant farmers and went away. When the time came to harvest fruit, he sent his servants to the farmers to collect his fruit. The farmers took his servants, beat one, killed another, and stoned a third. Again he sent other servants, more than the first group, and they did the same to them. Finally he sent his son to them. "They will respect my son," he said. But when the tenant farmers saw the son, they said to each other, "This is the heir. Come, let's kill him and take it as inheritance." So they seized him, threw him out of the vineyard, and killed him. Therefore, when the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those farmers? He will completely destroy those terrible men, they told him, and lease his vineyard to other farmers who will give him his fruit at the harvest. Jesus said to them, "Have you never read in the Scriptures, 'The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. This is what the Lord has done, and it's wonderful in our eyes.' Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of God will be taken away from you and given to a people producing its fruit. Whoever falls on this stone will be broken to pieces, but on whomever it falls it will shatter him." When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard the parables, they knew he was speaking about them. Although they were looking for a way to arrest him, they feared the crowds because the people regarded him as a prophet. On day 160, we finished the book of Hosea and his warnings to Israel. And in Matthew, Jesus spoke about many things, including marriage and the kingdom of God. Today, we return to 2 Kings for a short while, and we see accounts of various kings of Judah and Israel. We see another account of Uzziah, named Azariah in 2 Kings, which we read in 2 Chronicles. Then we see a variety of Israel's kings. Zechariah was the last of the line of Jehu, because Jehu sinned against God, and told him that only 4 generations would sit on the throne. The throne now passes to another family. Shallum conspired against him and became king. Then Shallum was killed, and Menahem became king, a different family. He continued to sin against God and passed this to his son. Then Pekah killed Pekahiah and passed the throne to another family. He sent the entire land of Naphtali to Assyria. He was later conspired against, and Hoshea became king. This is the issue with Israel. Because the kings and the people refused to turn towards God, there's no protection over the leaders. Because of their debauchery and sin, they fuel conspiracy, and it seems no one desires to stay loyal to a specific royal family. Why would they? God isn't protecting them. God isn't even their God. They are not afraid of the wrath of God because they follow other gods who do nothing for them. They only serve their personal desires. And so, Israel is unable to maintain proper leaders. They sin, they're killed, then the next one sins. Their behavior welcomes destruction. They cause their own destruction, as we learn from prophets like Hosea. Then we compare that to Judah. Judah has one family line, the line of David. Now they're not perfect, even allowing pagan worship in their kingdom, but most continue to follow God, more or less. However, today's reading is not one of those days. The next king of Judah is Ahaz, who worships idols. He doesn't follow God, even to the point of taking the gold and precious metals from the temple to give to Aram so they wouldn't fight. He does not trust God, nor does he follow God. He works to satisfy the leaders of other nations, not the God of Judah. Ahaz is going in the opposite direction of what's expected of them, being the house of Judah and the rightful rulers of the kingdom. But it seems Ahaz desires for Judah to be like Israel, not like God. Sometimes we can see the world and try to form it ourselves to it. We like what the world has to offer and begin to mix God with everything else, opposite God. The slippery slope begins, and soon God is pushed aside and we remove him from our lives completely. Then we live in complete sin, like Israel. And we know what's to happen to Israel. Discipline. Then we return to Matthew. In Matthew, we begin with Jesus coming into Jerusalem for the final time. His triumphal entry. He rides in on a colt. And so, this fulfills a prophecy as well. In fact, this prophecy was in Isaiah. Another one from Isaiah. Isaiah spoke a lot about the Messiah, and we will get to Isaiah one day. But he enters Jerusalem in two ways at the same time, very opposite ways. The first is that he enters as a king. He enters through the gate at which kings entered when they were victorious. As he entered, people were chanting, Hosanna. People were laying down their clothes, laying down branches in his path. And so this was a sign that he was essentially royalty. He was the son of David, they call him, meaning he's from the royal line. He is the rightful heir to rule Israel. However, he doesn't enter on a horse. He doesn't enter with a giant army. He enters on a donkey, which is strange. He doesn't enter triumphantly. The people make it triumphantly. They believe he is the Messiah at this point. They truly believe it. They shout, Hosanna. And this is what causes some of the religious leaders to be more suspicious of Jesus and desire to seek after his destruction. far more. Especially after he enters the temple and he sees people buying and selling in the temple. This is a house of God where you're supposed to worship, not sell and buy deceptively. They were being deceptive and selling these things inside of God's presence, where God's presence is supposed to be. Even though it's not quite as what it used to be, that's what it's supposed to be. That's what it's supposed to resemble. It is not a place for thieves to come in and start to make people pay for these certain things, for their sacrifices. But he cleanses it. He was not peaceful at this time. He overturned tables, and other versions say that he made whips to try and get the animals out of there as well. He wasn't peaceful at this time, but he was righteous. This was a very righteous thing. He is cleansing his house, essentially. He has all the right to do this. And he's doing what the religious leaders did not do, should have done. And so he goes to Bethany, and here on the way he sees a fig tree, and this fig tree does not produce any fruit, even though it should have been at this time. And so he makes it withered. And so this tree did not produce the fruit required of it. And so when you have plants that do not produce fruit when they're supposed to, you get rid of them because they're a waste. They extract resources away from you, away from the ground, away from other plants that do produce fruit, that could produce better fruit. You replace that tree with someone that actually does produce fruit. And so too will God do to us. If we don't have faith, and if we don't produce fruit of our faith, then we will be withered and replaced. And so the religious leaders come after Jesus a little bit at this point. They come to him, asking him, "What authority do you speak by?" But Jesus, of course, does not answer the question. Why? Because he knows their hearts. And so he asks them a question. What authority did John the Baptist have? And this puts them into a corner because they have been hypocritical. They've been very hypocritical about what they believe and what they want the people to hear. Well, the people have heard John and Jesus, and they believe what they say. The people believe that they get authority from heaven. And so if they say that if the religious leaders say that he doesn't get it from heaven, well, that makes the people mad, and they'll want to come after them because the people truly believe. But if they say he does get it from heaven, well, they've been attacking both John and Jesus this whole time, this whole ministry. And so they're backed into a corner. So they have to say, we don't know. And so Jesus, of course, doesn't answer their question because it shows whatever he says will just be taken and twisted by the religious leaders. And he's not playing by their rules. He also tells them a few parables. And one of them makes it very, very clear that it's okay to stumble a bit and then return to God. It's okay to say, God, I'm going to follow you, and then you don't, but then you come back and follow him. They agreed, yes, you're doing God's will if you do that, even though it's delayed. And so Jesus has to tell them, look, these sinners that you complain about me hanging around, these sinners that you complain about following God right now, what they're supposed to do, it's okay. They're following God now. They've returned to him. And they're doing God's will more than you are because you keep denying God every step of the way. And so he tells another parable about how God has come to the people and they denied him. God has sent prophet after prophet, and those prophets are denied. They send messengers time after time. Those messengers are denied. And so finally God sends his son, Jesus. And yet Jesus is denied. They keep denying God, the owner of the vineyard. And they keep rejecting him. They keep rejecting him. And so, Jesus will be rejected. Jesus will be killed by these religious leaders, but he will not stay dead. He will rise again, showing that he has the authority. He has the authority to forgive sins, and he is the Messiah, and he will save us from these sins. That's been the goal this entire time. But Jesus makes it clear that even though he has authority, even though he's proven it time and time again, that there will always be people who reject him. And so they will be taken away. Thank you for joining in the reading and understanding of these chapters, and let us all be vigilant in continuing this reading. Please share, like, follow, or whatever you can do to help us reach more people with the Bible reading. Please also check out the High Quality Gospel website for more information and a couple of store items. Thank you, and keep learning.